Hey, Supergirl, don't write yourself off yet. That's my job. I'm sorry.
Gaming cookie guy.
Entertainment.
Gang, I am so not happy that the Supergirl movie is bad because, there's a insignificant portion amount of the internet that was always going to hate this movie for no reason, for any reason. But now they've just been supplied with a whole lot of ammunition. And the suck thing is, I can't even defend it this time. There is basically nothing outside of Millie Alcock's performance as Kara to defend here. This movie was that much of a nothing burger, full of all of the things that we have seen done better in other movies. And several of those things were things we already saw just last year in Superman. You mean to tell me you're only 2 movies into this new universe and you're already reusing the exact same fight scene where character with no powers watches as the superpowered character flies around them defeating the bad guys, set to a song you wouldn't expect. By the way, if you're going online and yelling at the singer of that cover of The Middle, please just reevaluate your life. It's not her fault. Why don't you be an adult and make a YouTube video critiquing the screenwriters like I do? So without even touching the question of style and preference, I want to address what I think is the biggest problem at the heart of this movie's story, and that is Supergirl killing Krem. In this movie, Supergirl cannot kill Krem. And I don't mean that in a power scaling level or a moral high ground level. I mean that from the way that this movie is constructed, she should not be able to do that. She spends the entire runtime of the movie telling Ruthie, don't do this, don't end up like me, don't kill Krem, it'll set you on a bad path. And then she just does it at the end. And yes, there's a version of that movie that works. There is an angle there where she's this sin eater for the pure youth of the world, but that doesn't quite work either, because at the end of the movie it's supposed to be this hopeful, uplifting thing where she puts on the Supergirl costume and she's going to live up to the ideals of what that S on her chest means. And it's you can't have it both ways like this movie wants to. And I'm sorry, because if it sounds like I am mad at this movie, it is because I am. And when I'm mad at a movie, I start writing. And with this movie, I'm even especially furious because there's a disgustingly obvious change to make, to the point where I have to assume at some point that this was the version of the script and they changed it for reasons I cannot comprehend. The only thing I can assume happened is that David Zaslav himself snuck into the writer's room and swapped out the scripts. The solution to what I believe is the problem with this movie is the immortal with a god complex himself. It is Lobo, because Lobo didn't really have a reason to be in this story, except it seems like James Gunn and Jason Momoa really wanted him to be there. If Lobo's not in this movie, nothing really changes. And I think you can solve the Supergirl killing problem and give Lobo a reason to be in this movie all in one move. And so with that in mind, here is my version of Supergirl. And unfortunately, it's one that I'm not even super proud of, because unlike when I do these videos, usually I don't feel like I did anything super creative here. It just feels like I'm putting the pieces back together for something that should have existed. It's less master building and more just following the directions. But anyway, here we go. So this version of the movie does begin in the same way, with Kara partying on red sun planets, except when Superman does finally get in touch with her, he's not wishing her a happy birthday. He is conflicted. He's frustrated, and he wants her to come home so that they can hash things out, so that they can talk. In my version of the movie, as we discovered through these small interactions with Clark, Kara has very recently helped in a battle on Earth in which she had to kill someone or someones. And while she felt and still feels like that was the right thing to do, it really upset Clark, and he let her have it for not living up to the ideals of what it means to be a Superman or a Supergirl. And so she said, well, maybe I don't know, or maybe I don't care what those ideals are, and I don't really need this. And so she leaves. And that's where we find her in her life. And I feel like we needed this scene. We needed this inciting incident because, you know, like I said, Kara spends the whole movie telling Ruthie how she doesn't want to end up like her. But then we finally do see Kara's backstory, and it never includes her killing anybody. In fact, as far as we, the audience, know, Kara has never killed a single person. So how exactly are we to believe that killing someone will make Ruthie exactly like her? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. And so, like in the original, upon meeting Ruthie in the bar, Kara's not that interested with helping her until Crypto is poisoned. But from here, instead of getting the constant bickering, the continuous cycle that happens like 4 times in this movie of Ruthie being like, oh, I want to kill Krem. No, you can't do that. Oh, please take me with you. No, I'm not going to do that. Instead of getting that same thing played out like 4 different times over the course of the movie, hey, let's just have them be on the same page at first. Hey, this guy has something I want. Oh, well, he killed my family. I want revenge. Hey, let's work together and we could both enjoy the process. We can both enjoy the trip. They bring out the best in each other. They have a good dynamic. It's fun when they're, you know, interrogating those space techno pirates. Ruthie can get in on the interrogation, really amp up the pressure. They kind of relish in it. And then we get to the planet Bilky and we get our introduction to Lobo. Now, in the original movie, Lobo's story just happens to run parallel to our squad because he has a bounty out for another just random member of the brigands in Krem's gang. While in my version, you may have already guessed it because it seemed like what they were going to do in the movie, Lobo is after Krem himself. And twist, Lobo has to bring him in alive. And this is what brings him in direct conflict with our protagonist, because now everybody wants Krem for a little bit different reasons. Kara needs him for the antidote, Ruthie just wants him dead, and Lobo needs to take him alive. Now, this is the makings of some good action. And now, through this battle on this planet, we actually get to see the hatred that's been brewing up inside of Ruthie come out in the form of that bloodlust, that murderous drive to get to Krem at all costs. And it starts to scare Kara a little bit. Yeah, okay, it was fun when we were just theory crafting this on the ride here, but now that I'm actually seeing this, I am seeing a little bit too much of myself. Maybe I'm seeing what Clark saw in me back on Earth. Now, stepping aside, you might think that this reduces the main antagonist of this movie to nothing more than a plot device, a MacGuffin that all of our principal characters are after. And yeah, while that's not the most like interesting thing to do with a villain, I'm actually not against it here because the villain's not the main focus of the story. The relationship between Kara, Ruthie, and Lobo is. And like, let's be honest, any villain of a super person story is never really gonna be like a physical match for our hero, like unless there's some galaxy threatening monstrosity. So let's find other interesting things to do with a villain besides just match them up physically. Going back to the scene on Bilky, just as Ruthie is finally about to exact her revenge and kill Krem, Kara saves him. Yes, because she still needs the antidote for Crypto, but also because this is the very beginning of her wanting to save Ruthie from herself. And finally, they do have that big first argument of, hey, this is my one purpose versus maybe you shouldn't go down this path. And then as they have this argument, Lobo comes in, chains up Krem, and is starting to take him away. So then Kara has to rescue him from Lobo. And then it just kind of goes back and forth in this big triangle of just passing along Krem. Until eventually, you know, our heroes are disorganized. The organization they're fighting against is not. They do get the upper hand on them. They're able to capture Lobo, capture Ruthie, capture all the brides, and they get off planet. And this is the moment when Kara decides to finally put on the suit. No, not just because her clothes are dirty from the battle. No, because this is the moment when she decides she is going to save people. She's going to save the brides. She's going to save Ruthie. She wants to be Supergirl. And now, because she's already captured, Ruthie doesn't have to stow away for the final battle, because that was a weird, dumb, convenient thing for her to do. My next section of the movie will take place kind of similarly to the original. We'll cut between Kara suffering under the effects of the green sun and Lobo and Ruthie talking in captivity. During one of their scenes, Ruthie is finally able to escape, and Lobo tells her to free him, which she only does under the condition that he helps her kill Krem, which he agrees to. And as he says in the movie, he never goes back on his word. And so with that, we kick off the final battle of Supergirl, with Supergirl, Lobo, and Ruthie now all fighting on the same side with more or less the same intentions. And now we have to deal with something that did really annoy me in the original cut of the movie. Like, you set up this incredibly cool premise, this great battlefield designed just for Supergirl, where the planet is part-time in green sun, part-time in yellow sun. And then you never use it outside of that very first time she lands on the planet. Like, why? You even do this thing in the final battle in the original where you invent these like kryptonite darts. You wouldn't have to do that if you just used the thing that you already set up in the movie. Now, in my version, it will flow much faster. For every, say, 50 minutes of yellow sun, there will be about 10 minutes of green sun. And now that won't be enough to kill Kara, but it will be enough to depower her, to weaken her, to make her sick, and make this an actual threatening ticking clock that pervades throughout the length of the fight. And this will make it so that there are times when Ruthie and Lobo really have to pull their weight and cover for Kara as she is recovering and depowered. But finally, through our team overcoming that and working together, the day is won, and Krem is isolated from the rest of his gang, and Supergirl sees that and is on the way to save him. But at the same time, in the classic superhero tradition, just while the yellow sun is fading, she sees that the brides are also in mortal danger, and she has to make that classic hero's choice between saving the brides and stopping Ruthie with her strength, and she, of course, chooses to save the brides. And now, using the last of her strength in the green light to reach Ruthie, she now can no longer physically keep her at bay. She now has to rely on her reason and her empathy to turn Ruthie away from this choice. And through the lessons she has learned over the course of this movie, the lessons she has learned over the course of her lifetime, she convinces Ruthie that maybe killing Krem is the right thing to do, but it is not the right thing for Ruthie to do. And so Ruthie and Kara make up. They hug, they make that decision together, and their arc is closed. Ruthie breaks away and tells Lobo, hey, go ahead, take him alive, take your bounty. And that's when Lobo stabs Krem right through the heart, because Lobo said he would help her kill Krem, and Lobo never goes back on his word. And that is how I would rewrite Supergirl. Please let me know, if you were in charge of this movie, what would you have done? Do you like any of my changes? Would you have kept it all the same? Did you like the original movie as written? In which case, I'm really sorry, I just bad-mouthed it. Please, if you like the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.